If you're watching this on YouTube, I just want to let you know that if you'd prefer to listen to this episode as a podcast, you can click the link down in the description, which will take you to our Spotify, where we will be uploading all of our longer review type videos as podcasts. And if you'd rather keep watching the longer videos here on the channel, that is fine too, because in addition to being on the Spotify, they will continue to be posted on this YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Plocast. Today, we got a big video for you. Today's our review for The Bad Batch, Season 1, Episode 7. What was it called? Battle Scars, I believe it's called.
Correct, yes.
I feel like everybody should have seen what happened in that episode coming because of Battle Scars. Rex is a chip scar, but
Mm,
that's okay. Really good episode. You know the drill. If you've watched these before, we're just gonna go by categories of different details that we noticed and break it down for y'all. Break it down from a fundamental standpoint. Um, so first of all, uh, not gonna get to the big stuff quite yet. The episode started like the last few, where our guys are meeting up with Sid. This time they kind of just started right in the middle of the action, which I liked.
yeah,
That way we don't have to waste time introducing a new mission, and then having them go do it and then come back. This time they're already on the way back, and we get an explanation while they're on the shuttle. But what I thought was interesting about this is we kind of predicted in one of our other videos the tension in the relationship between Sid and the Bad Batch, how they owe her a debt now. I forget which video we talked about that in, but if you want to start off there.
yeah, they, I guess kinda Sid's kinda been back charging them, but it does make sense because it remember we flipped to, Omega and Wrecker, they're getting the Mantel mix, and apparently they've done that 14 times, but yeah, she's kinda like she's a businesswoman, she's out there to make a buck in the galaxy, so she's charging for food, rations, Mantel mix, fuel, and everything like that, which kind of makes sense. But she's just bringing it up to them now after they're like getting ready. They're like, all right, whatever. Like we can leave whatever they want, and she's kind of like, no, 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 no. You guys owe me for all of that, and the fact that I know you're refugee clones. Like I could rat you guys out any second.
Yeah.
Um, so Sid kinda, like, keeps it like, "Oh, I'm helping you, you're helping me," but really, she's, like, the one with the power behind the
She's
situation.
she's taking advantage of them.
Yeah.
But like you said, she's a businesswoman, so she knows that they have nowhere else to go. Essentially, she has leverage on them, and she just decides she could do whatever she wants against them. I mean, which
Pretty
I guess
much.
matches what we've seen of her so far. From we know that she's known in the underworld, I guess, or whatever it is, but
Mhm.
we did kind of predict that a little bit. We were talking about maybe seeing because we knew that it wasn't gonna last forever with them just doing missions for Sid, missions for Sid, missions for Sid. I don't think we're done though because there was a line in there that she said. She was taught. I think they were in the office. She said, "You guys need a big score for us to be square."
Yeah.
So It seems like they're gonna have to do one last big job on the same level as the tactical droid, and not just some animal. So they're gonna
Yeah.
need to do. I guess that is probably gonna be maybe not the next episode, but the one after that, or it could be. I don't know. But they still need to do one big job for Sid if they want to, get even and have that all this debt paid off, or they could just
Yeah.
leave and never pay it back.
Yeah, I think the former, though. I feel like Bad Batch are honorable guys. They'll probably
Yeah,
pay their dues.
yeah. Um, so that was it. I mean, Sid was only there for a couple minutes, and
Mhm.
there was still some important stuff that we wanted to talk about. Moving on to the main feature of this one,
The big guy.
the big boy himself, the one and only Captain Rex was back in this episode. Um, I thought his introduction in this episode was great. Just him standing in the bar watching them. Then he sits down. He's just got his hood up. Some guys in the bar coming up to mess with him, and he just freaks him out and makes him leave. Um,
Mhm.
I love the subtle details. Like at first, we can kind of see his arms. Then we get the shot of the eyes and the bridge of the nose. That was right. That was exactly what I knew.
Yeah.
Just that face. I've seen it so much. I'm like, oh, I know what that is. Then you see the gauntlets in full light, and he's got the pistol, and then he takes off the hood. Just that slow reveal. That was awesome. And we know that Rex was the person in Trace and Rafa's hologram because he's got that poncho, and he even said Trace and Rafa Martez were his contacts. Um,
Yep.
Before we talk about what he does in this episode, I'm wondering what he was doing before. Like, we know eventually he kind of just bows out of war in general. He just tries to live his own life and not be a part of any conflict. But right now, it seems like he's still kind of popping around. He's still doing things like we was talking to at the end of the episode. He was on his comm talking to probably Trace and Rafa or some other contact. He wanted to get that tactical droid head uh, you know, for helping out people in whatever way. That also explains how Trace and Rafa knew about it because Rex would know all about
Yeah.
tactical droids, having fought them.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think what do you think he's doing right now? Like, what is this all a part of?
I think very much like the Bad Batch. He's kind of trying to figure out what to do. I mean, these guys are bred to be soldiers. Their war ends in a horrific way. They're good. They're lucky enough to repel Order 66. So now they're without orders. They have to go find their own way in the galaxy.
Right.
Um, and I guess Rex, with the help of Ahsoka, is a little bit ahead of the Bad Batch. He's finding the rebels. He's finding people to fight against the people who brainwashed his brothers, the
Yeah.
Empire. I think, well, I mean, the way the way he would know Trace and Rafa is through Ahsoka, but I think Ahsoka and him go right to Trace and Rafa, kind of refugee out, then Ahsoka goes into hiding, because she's a Jedi. She has to like chill with the Force powers because you could sense that Vader's hunting them across the galaxy. So at least for a little while before she comes back to Rebels, I think she's in hiding right now during the Bad Batch. So I don't think we'll see her. But on the contrast, Rex, I don't think can do that yet. He's still pretty much in the prime of his life. Like he's ready to fight. He
Yeah.
wants to do good. He wants to fight back against this empire. So he's branching out. He's seeing people. He's trying to get the tactical droid, maybe for a Bail Organa, a Mon Mothma, an early Rebel Force, maybe even
Leader,
Saw
I guess.
Gerrera, because he did meet Saw Gerrera in the Clone Wars. Um, but yeah, I think this is perfectly in tune with his character. One thing I was kind of weird about is he didn't really invite the Bad Batch to come help him out with his mission. He kind of just said, "I'm around. Call me if you need me." I would have thought he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm starting up a rebellion. Like, come help me fight the Empire." That's what I thought would happen. So maybe there's something else. Maybe he is working for another someone who's just keeping it low key. I don't know, but I did think I wanted to bring that up. Wanted to see what you thought about that.
Um, I agree with that part, but I think there was he did offer them. He said, "I could really use a group of people with your set
Oh,
of skills." And then Hunter was
so
like,
then I
"You
just missed
can't."
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But the rest was on point, though you're
All
saying.
right.
But he was like, "Yeah, I could really use a group of guys like you with your skills." And then Hunter was like, "Sorry, like we still are figuring out what we're doing, and we got this
All right.
kid now, so thanks, but no." He obviously didn't say exactly that, but it
Yeah,
was at
yeah,
the
yeah.
end there in their conversation. But just Rex in general, I thought it was really well done in this episode. You may see 2 videos ago we posted that video about the Bad Batch using old characters to just get views and stuff like that. But I don't think this is that scenario. And that you may think, oh well, you guys just love Rex and you're just making an excuse. But no, I mean he's one of,
Kind of.
if not the only people that could have been placed in this
Love
situation.
Rex.
He
Yeah.
knows all about the inhibitor chips. He's got the experience essentially being on both ends of it, having it happen to him and then having the chip out and then having to fight. Um, he's got the whole connection with Fives and Fives' whole story with the chips. Fives literally died in Rex's arms. So, that was one of my favorite parts actually. Is when Rex finds out that the Bad Batch don't have when Tech's like, "Oh yeah, if you're talking about the chips, we don't have those out." Not they hadn't even turned at that point. They were just, "Oh yeah, they're still in there." And Rex was like about to whip out his pistol, and
Yeah.
he's like, "You guys have no idea what you're messing with here." That was one of my favorite scenes. And he was kind of like protecting Omega a little bit too.
Mhm.
But just like he is one of the only people that could have fit and made this episode's story better than what you can't put Trace and Rafa in there. What are they gonna? Oh yeah, I know all about inhibitor chips. I know this. Like it's
Oh, man.
that's what I mean by them. by that's what we mean when using characters that old characters that fit the story in a proper way instead of just shoving them in there for no reason. If you want to talk about how you thought about that.
100%. I really liked how he kind of did just dip. Like he came in, he's like, "All right, what's up, guys? I heard you're somewhere. You're making your way." Kind of
Yeah.
reunited. Found out about chips. He's like, "Nah, we got to get those out now, immediately." They do it, and then he's like, "Hey, if you want to come with me, come on. If not, I'm just going to go do my thing." And
Yeah.
that's that. That's all I need of Rex because that's exactly how he would act. They're not picking him out of character just to put, "Oh, here's Rex. Remember him? Cool."
Right.
No, they're saying, "Who would make sense in this role? Captain Rex would." And that's why they selected him. And that should be the primary motivation. We talked about it a lot in that other video. Go check that out. But I agree. I think they handled him really well. One thing I did want to mention though, you brought it up already about them slowly revealing him. I think that paralleled really well with Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. How first you see the X-wing, then you see his gauntlet, and then like how like for these big characters, when they do it right, they kind of do it slow, and then boom, he's there, he does his thing, and he's out.
Yeah.
And we keep making parallels, or I do, between Bad Batch and Mandalorian. And I think it's a good thing because I think these are two of the best Star Wars content we have in recent times. So to see like them kind of hit the same beats, I'm like, all right, they're doing it. They're doing a good job. So
Yeah.
I really liked how they handled.
Yeah, I mean, Rex is my favorite clone. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters in general, but I don't want to see him anymore. I think we've had his,
Yeah.
he's had, um, and when I say that, I don't mean ever. I mean like as a main character in an episode. Like if we get like a 1 to 2 minute clip of something else that he's doing, like maybe at the very end we get a little tease at to like something else, like how he meets up with Wolf and Gregor, or just a little clips. I'm fine with that, but as long as it, isn't just completely random and out of nowhere,
Mhm.
but as, like, a main character, I think I'm good with what we got. I mean, that part where he walks off into the fog, that
Yeah.
was just really kinda cool saying, "Okay, he's gone." Um, and, I'm happy with what we got. He served his purpose, he played a role, and I think we're good. We don't need any more Rex in there to just make people watch the show. Now, obviously, that's a little part of why he's there is because people love Rex and they're going to watch if he's in it. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is he's one of the only people that could have helped in this situation and had to have solved this plotline that's been going for the first 6 episodes. Rex has been bumping his head every single episode, pretty sure.
Every episode.
Maybe not the first one. He might have at some point,
Oh man.
a little bit more subtly than the other times, but that's been going since the beginning of the show. And Rex was one of the only people that could have wrapped that up the way he did. Um, but yeah, anything else on our boy Rex?
Um, no, I
Yeah,
was thinking, but you said it, how he was protecting Omega, how they immediately had a bond, how Omega was able to say, "Hey, you're a Gen 1." He's like,
yeah,
"Oh, how'd you know that?" But I just like how kind of Omega gets along with everyone, including Rex, and then how, like you said, he was protecting her when he was drawing his pistol
yeah,
against the Bad Batch. I thought that was really cool, and it was
yeah.
really subtle too. Like I feel like some people might not have caught that.
I loved his facial expression when Omega is like eyeing him up and moving close. He's like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
and Rex is the one that ends up actually saving her. He's the one that gets up and finally is able to
That too,
stun
yep.
Wrecker, which also shows his, experience with that old age. Um, What else? We did get a little mention of Fives, which is cool. He talks about
Yeah,
the
name
Fives.
drop.
Yeah. We see his scar from when he gets his chip out. Uh, that's always cool to see. There's one other thing I was remembering. We also saw the Y wing, the same Y wing that was at the end of season 7 of the
Right.
Clone Wars. That's what he's using to fly around. Get from place to place, which is really cool. And we also get a mention of Ahsoka. We don't get a name drop, but we all know who he's talking about. He's like, I had a little help in getting my chip out.
Yep.
So yeah, but that's everything we got on our boy Rex. Done really well. Really liked his inclusion in this episode, and we're moving on. Um, the other big thing in this episode, our main man Wrecker going
Ah,
off the rails,
oh.
turning completely, committing Order 66.
Mm,
That was just absolutely insane. Um, I I thought the buildup was one of the best parts. It was like 2 solid minutes. They were just it was so intense. Like,
Yes,
the audio
yes.
gets like, everyone else kinda got muffled. The camera was focusing primarily on Wrecker. He's, like, grunting and making noises. Everyone else is talking normal as if nothing is happening.
Yup.
Um, but the music and the buildup, you know it's happening, but for, like, a minute and a half, they just sit there and they wait, and they let you just sit in the moment, and you're like, is it gonna happen now? What is happening? Is he gonna turn? Is he
Mhm.
gonna die? What is going on? And then finally, when it goes down, he opens his eyes, he goes, "Dun," and, like, his pupils, like, dilate or whatever, and he goes and he grabs Tech. That just whole build up was just perfect.
Oh, yeah. It was we've been building it up for episodes that, his chip, he's hitting his head every episode. But in those 2 minutes, it was palpable. Like, oh, like you were saying, like the conversation is just a normal conversation, but it slowly gets drowned out. We focus on Wrecker, the music, and then as soon as he opens his eyes and he puts his hand around Tech's neck, it's
Game
crazy.
on.
Hurls him across the room.
Yeah. And
Um,
speaking of that, we get to see for the first time, well, not the first time, but I guess in a different perspective, Wrecker's like his real power, like his raw,
yes.
like
Just
he
about to bring
just
that up.
absolutely mows through them. Tech, to be fair, was didn't really see it coming, but he still would have beat Tech. Just the way he picks him up, slams him into the wall,
Oh,
all of his stuff goes sprawling on the floor. Rex pulls out his blaster like really quick, and Wrecker smacks it away so hard that it
into
breaks the
the
ceiling.
yeah.
Um, he just absolutely he takes Echo. To be fair, he really kind of didn't beat up Rex because Rex got knocked down when Wrecker picked up Echo and threw him into Rex. So,
Yeah.
um, but like he just mows through them all. The part where he's just absolutely destroying Hunter, like holding him by his throat, like, "Oh, you're a traitor," to blah blah blah, and he Wrecker like or Hunter like falls unconscious after that. He drops him and he just falls to the ground. Um, we actually just get to see how powerful he really is, and why he's such a valuable one of the reasons he's such a valuable member of the team. And I thought that was really cool because, I mean, we've seen him beat up like what B1 battle droids. Oh wow, big deal! Like anybody could do that.
Yeah.
But seeing him go up against like highly trained clones like this, plus ones with special abilities, all in a group at the same time, just I was really cool. It was kinda upsetting because like, that's his team, but you want it to
Yeah.
feel that way because you that's the effect it should have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really I didn't, ever think about it before, seeing Wrecker in action, but kinda the contrast between the 2 Bad Batch members who have, succumbed to Order 66. Crosshair, he's, cold, calculating, he's kinda on the outskirts, he's the sniper, you know? But then we have Wrecker, who's the big brute force, hand-to-hand guy, seeing Crosshair, that kind of standoff, he's shooting Wrecker, that was intense. Now we're seeing the other side of it,
Yeah.
no, it's hand to hand, he's throwing guys through ceilings, it was really cool just to see the dynamic shift and, how awful Order 66 is in so many perspectives.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Omega a little bit, but just that whole thing alone, oh my goodness, I was gonna
Yeah.
cry.
That's
But
nuts.
besides Omega, just seeing him house, the Bad Batch is the elite clone force. These guys get called in to do missions no one else can do. And seeing Wrecker, wow, maybe he got the jump on them a little bit, single handedly just tearing through them is it shows how serious Order 66
Yeah.
can be.
We need him on our side is what that shows.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yes.
yeah. I think honestly, Wrecker's chip, probably was a lot more effective than Crosshair's because Crosshair didn't fully turn until,
Hmm.
Tarkin and the Kaminoans did all that experimenting and, like, enhancements, I guess, on his chip. Before that, he felt that way, but he never acted on anything really other than leaving to go see Tarkin. But Wrecker, as soon as his went off, boom, instant Order 66 mode. When Crosshairs went off, he was like, he wanted to do the things, but he still felt he didn't see it as, "Oh my god, everyone else is a traitor." He saw that
Yeah,
he saw
that's true.
they're being a little bit of traitors, but I still gotta maybe I'll try to convince Hunter that what he's doing is wrong. So arguably, Wreckers was a lot more effective, by
That's
itself
true.
without, like, enhancements.
Yeah.
Um, but just crazy. You were talking about Omega, if we wanna jump into that scene. That whole scene was
That's
just, like, heartbreaking and scary at the same time. It kinda reminded me of Jurassic Park when the kids are in the kitchen and the dinosaur's, like, walking around.
yeah.
That whole fake out where you think she's behind the panel with the holes in it,
Mhm,
um, Wrecker walks up and he goes, "Pick it up," and she's not there, but she's actually then they zoom out and she's on the left. I thought that shot, just, like, cinematography-wise was pretty cool because you expect her to be where Wrecker finds her, and then they zoom out and
mhm.
she's right there. But just that whole I was just, like, getting chills that whole time. Um, she was, like, pleading, like, "Please don't do this, I don't wanna
Oh,
hurt you." She had the gun pointed right at him,
yep,
until he knocked it away, but just oof.
yeah. That like, trying to put yourself in Omega's shoes, like, this is your family, that's your older brother, like, you go and eat the mix, what's it called? Mantel
Mhm.
mix
Mantel mix.
after every mission, that's your, like that's your bro.
Your
Like,
big
to see
bro.
him turn like that and to have to confront that, especially as like, she's a child. She didn't know what dirt was 4 episodes ago, and now she's having to deal with that. The amount of, like, emotion and everything going on inside her, crazy.
Yeah,
And I think that, like, she's maturing fast, like, as, like, a part of the group, but just as, like, a person, like, imagine having to come with terms with that, like, going head to head with one of your closest friends, and, like, oh, I'm like, she's gonna be a great soldier is what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
Like, she's been through it already, and she's already so young.
yeah.
Um, but also when she said, "You're my friend," in her little
Oh,
Aussie accent, oh my goodness, that is like an arrow right into my heart, and it exploded.
yeah.
But it was crazy. And oh, and the fact that she was able to just like Wrecker came to her later. She's like, "I'm sorry, it wasn't me." And she's like, "I know. Let's eat some mix. We're all cool." Like
Yeah,
I really like I don't know how, but Omega is becoming my favorite character, like
yeah,
almost by a landslide. I really like her in every episode. The last two especially.
yeah. That's a good point about when Wrecker came up to apologize, she knew that it wasn't him, but even after they got the chip out and he woke up, when you see her packing up and getting ready to go, she's still, like, sad, and she feels
Yeah.
like she's still thinking about what happened, but it took Wrecker to come up and actually talk to her about it, even though she already knew he didn't mean it, but it took him actually, going up to her and saying, "Hey, that sucked for everyone. I'm sorry." Then she's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay." She feels bad because she's still, like, a child,
Yeah.
um, or is she? No,
She's
but
advanced.
yeah, yeah, but, like, that was just Um, there was one little detail in there. Now, this could just be me again, because I'm not sure how intentional this is. But Omega, when she brings out the mix, she's like, the mission's over. It's time to eat the mix. That kind of when she said that, that reminded me of some other parts of Clone Wars. She says the mission is over. Now, in the Clone Wars, when Tup dies after they take his chip out, he's talking to Fives. I don't know the exact wording, but he says something along like um, "It's over," and Fives is like, "What are
Yeah.
you talking?" He's like, "The mission, the one in our dreams. It's
It's
finally
over now.
over." And then he says, "I'm free" at the end, and then he dies. Um, and then I think I can't remember. You'd think as many times as I've seen the Fives death scene, I'd have it know word for
Ah,
word by now. But I
ugh,
think he says something along the lines of that. Um, that could just be I doubt that's intentional because it's like mission is a very common word. The mission is like a very
right.
common. But when she said that, that just made me think. Because and it lines up too because both of those were about the inhibitor chips and Order 66. Tup in his case was when his chip was removed and he saw clearly, I guess, for the first time. Fives, he already knew about them. So when he died, he was like, okay, well, I know about this now. I'm not, held by this. And then Wrecker, he got his out. So just kind of maybe more of Omega's intellectual pre-planted intelligence, I guess, having the
Yeah.
same sort of mission in their dreams that all the clones apparently had that we learned from Tup. Again, that's chances are that's like purely like coincidental. But I like to think about it that way because that it makes sense in my head.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good parallel to illustrate, like, because there's no threat of Order 66 anymore. They have the chips out. Like, it's almost like that chapter's behind them. Like, they can officially move on and like go ahead because even though at first they didn't have to deal with it, just Crosshair kind of did before his got enhanced. Like now for Wrecker and for all of them, like that's another step away from like all the evils of the Empire. So like
Yeah.
I think it might be reaching, but I think it's cool to think about.
Yeah, it's cool to think about it that way. The mission being just the order, being Order 66. I think
Hmm.
because once the chip is out of Tup's head, he doesn't feel the need to do that anymore. So he's like, I'm free from this mission that is destining all of us to kill the Jedi. So, moving on, I just want to talk about some more details about the episode. I thought it was cool that they brought back the well, not brought back, but are showing us more of Hunter's tracking, detecting ability. He looked at the water. He's like, don't go in there. Don't do that. There's something bad in there." But he really I just like when we're seeing each member use their specific ability or enhancements. And that creature was actually the one from the trash compactor in episode 4. What is it called? I know you have it somewhere.
A dianoga, yes.
Dianoga. That's what it is.
That's what we
Um,
both initially thought when we saw the movements, and
yeah,
then we saw it and we're like, "Wait, that's way too big." But turns out that is indeed the same one that grabbed Luke and dragged him under.
yeah, yeah. But that's cool. A little subtle detail in there. We were saying Sarlacc in the moment, like a young adolescent Sarlacc,
Yeah.
but almost instantly I was like, well, that doesn't make sense because the Sarlacc
Doesn't
is in a
yeah.
big hole in the ground. It's kind of rooted in its spot where it sits. But, still, I actually completely forgot about that. That was a scene in the trailer that at least parts of that where Wrecker's hanging and the tentacles are coming up. That was in the trailer, and I just kinda completely forgot about it happening, which shows you the benefits of not watching trailers, but,
Yeah.
at the same time, I need to see something,
Yeah.
um, yeah. But another cool detail, the planet that they're on is Bracca from Jedi Fallen Order, where this,
Yes.
I guess, eventually becomes an Imperial, decommissioning yard, stripping facility. Uh, but, just makes sense. That's they wouldn't have, I doubt they would have multiple planets where they're just throwing Venators and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like there's enough space on an entire planet to fit all the ones that are still
I was
around.
gonna say, it is
Yeah.
the entire planet too. It's a
Yeah.
trash planet, not just a trash facility on a planet.
Yeah, but you have the Scavenger Guild, Scrapper Guild, Scrapper Guild.
Scrapper Guild, yep.
Yeah, and they have like all the same ponchos, like that kind of
Yep.
Cal's also wearing. This is like a couple of years, like 3-ish years before that game. So would this be under Imperial control at this point? Like, are they just partnered with the Scrappers? Because at the end, the Scrappers like contact the Empire, which means
Yeah.
they're like in leagues. But in Jedi Fallen Order, I think it's like they're working for the Empire, or it's under Imperial control at least.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, at least the way I think about it, I don't know if this is true or not, but like the scrapper union or guild would be like they're taking care of it. The empire would be like financing them and hiring them.
Yeah.
And then with time, the empire will become more involved, kind of like on all planets, how they want to like get more involved with everything. So they'll have a bigger presence on Bracca by the time we see Cal Kestis.
Right. Right.
But now, since it's just like, oh, contact the Empire, our boss, and we'll have them come out. But later, they're already like there'll be a presence there, kind of like what's it called? What's martial law? Like start getting like that on most planets.
Right.
I don't
Right.
know why I
Okay.
blanked on martial law.
It's okay.
I was gonna
Um,
say militia law.
Militia law.
But yeah,
Uh, um, but kind of, yeah. I mean, that's all I had on Braca. A cool addition. Makes sense because they would need to get to a Venator
exactly.
medical
Yep,
bay, so has a purpose there. Um, Kind of backtracking a little bit. We probably should have talked. We talked a little bit earlier about Omega. Omega was able to detect like how old Rex was. Like, oh, you're a first generation clone because of the lines in his face. How how old is Omega then in normal years? Because that was a long time ago, but she's still young. Rex is like a first.
yes.
I mean, I know they all rapid age, obviously, But if they rapid age, then Omega would be like half of the age she looks, which
Yeah.
definitely would have been at least a little bit after Rex's generation of clones was born.
Mhm.
So did she I there could was she, like, studying? I doubt they have, like, school there other than for the clones, but, like,
Uh-huh.
she's, like, this special one they kinda kept aside. So, does she just age really slow? Does she not have enhanced aging? So, has she been around the entire time? Is she just, like is she, like, 30? Like, we don't but she doesn't age? Because like, she knew what a first generation clone looked like, and if they aged the same, then she wouldn't have been born when that happened.
Mhm. I I don't know about aging. One thing I do wanna the way, like, I thought about it, because some people are also saying the way she was able to tell is she's force sensitive, like, she used the force
Right.
to see that. I also
There's
don't
always
think
that.
that's it either. I just think, because when we first meet her, she's with the Kaminoans, like, she doesn't hang out with any of the other clones at all, not even till Bad Batch. So I think she has, like, way more knowledge about clones than we think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Did she know about the chips before?
She did, and she also knew that she didn't have one.
Okay, well, so I think like the Kaminoans are just telling her everything. Like, oh, this is how cloning works. This is what a Gen 1 clone is. Like, I think she almost did have kind of special classes because she's like her own enhanced clone. Like, she's way different than anyone else.
Yeah.
So I
So
think she is as old as she is, but she just has a lot more experience with cloning because the Kaminoans were so directly involved with her.
yeah. There's a lot of questions surrounding her, which I think is
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, again, this is all just
Yeah.
like hypothetical. We
If
don't even know.
yeah, if you just threw her in and didn't give us any of this speculation into her backstory, then it wouldn't be as interesting because, like, I
Yeah.
think all these questions we're thinking of, we still don't know. Like, we don't know how she ate. Like, we know she's a clone. We know she is special. We know she worked with Kaminoans, or at least followed them around and was an assistant.
Mhm.
And that's all we know. And that is
Mhm.
really interesting. And we know now that she knew about the inhibitor chip. I think she was the one that brought it to the Bad Batch's attention initially, and then Tech took it from there. She knew what generation of clone Rex was because of the lines in his face.
Yeah,
What?
just by looking at him.
She knew that she didn't have a chip. It's just so like because she could either be like, not she could either age normally because
Mhm.
they didn't enhance her or they didn't make her age fast because they weren't planning on sending her into battle, I guess.
Like boba.
Or yeah, or she could just be I don't know, she could just age slower for some odd reason, but that kinda implies that either A, she randomly at some point just learned about all the different generations of clones, or she was there when they were born, and she was able to go up close and look at them in detail, and she was able to tell the difference. Most people would have no clue. Everybody else would have no clue, essentially,
Oh,
probably
oh
other
my
than the
goodness, no.
Kaminoans,
Yeah.
and now her. So that is a really interesting line. I don't know, I think it's interesting where this could lead down the line, like, what storylines or background details we can learn about her. 'Cause there's a lot we clearly don't know, and, if we're right with our theory that the Kaminoans wanna use her as their base clone that they're gonna sell to the Empire, there could be still a lot more that we have to learn about her.
Yeah.
Alright,
Ah,
so, any other details that you had that you wanted to talk about?
I
Or just
did
anything?
wanna rehash the animation again.
Okay.
And you said it before, the cinematography. I guess that's what you call it? Is that what you call it when it's a TV show?
Yeah, it's still cinematography.
TV
No,
photography.
I think it's still the same.
Um, but yeah, I think it was all excellent. The water monster, the dianoga, as we now know. Very cool with the animation there, and then the cinematography. You said it before, but just the Wrecker and Omega scenes, crazy. The Order 66 ones. I said in the reaction, I said huge Outlast vibes. If you ever
Yeah,
play
yeah.
that game, you know what I'm talking about. But I really like that, like Omega like sliding underneath the door and Wrecker just throws it open. Um, but yeah, like again, we have like almost a new genre of Star Wars. This has almost felt like a horror like episode. Like it was very cool, like just to see how quickly we can shift like themes of episodes. Because last episode, it was kind of more emotional. I mean, this one it was a little emotional, but it doesn't ever feel the same, which is very refreshing, and it helps a lot with I don't know, I guess pacing, would you call it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just like how they're able to just, all right, now we're gonna make this a super tense scene. We're gonna have you on the edge of your seats, ready to cry. And then who knows, next episode I might be cheering because it might be an awesome battle scene.
yeah, yeah,
And I really like how I guess it's Disney, I don't know who it is, but they have like the facilities just to have such a
yeah.
diversity in episodes. It's
Lucasfilm.
awesome. Yeah.
I guess that would be Lucasfilm.
Lucasfilm, yeah. But I do because sometimes these are things, like, you don't think about, but, like, just rewatching it's just like, wow, like, it's almost privileging.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's always a lot of each episode always has interesting like camera shots. Well, obviously, there's not a real camera, but where the camera of what you're seeing
Yeah.
is play. There's always a lot of visually intriguing moments. Like in this episode, you got the one where they pan up from behind the rock face, and you see Rex leading them up a cliff.
Mhm.
That was that trailer shot. My favorite though is the scene where you see like a Rex is in like the right hand side of the screen. He's leaning up against a door frame, holding his helmet, looking at it. And you're in the hallway. The hallway is dark, but the light is shining out from the medical room. I'm sure there's
Yep.
some metaphor there about like the light and dark and where Rex is and all that. I'm not gonna
Oh,
try,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
like
we're
just
we're no
you,
experts,
you don't
but
even have to instantly be like, oh, I understand this, but you could just looking at it, you're like, this is deeper than just a regular shot of Rex just standing there.
yeah,
And that can really add or take away from a show. Like you have shows that have just abs and movies really that just have boring camera work, like just shoulder over shoulder and then still shot and then just boring bleh. But if you
yep,
add movement and add interesting details and you can tell the story through the camera work, which I think is
exactly.
very,
Yeah.
very cool. Very well
And
done in this
and
too.
the fact that, like you said it, there is no camera, like, this is fully animated, that makes it so much like that's how you know they're really thinking about it, they wanna mimic these camera angles that
Yeah.
would be in real life, like, there is a lot of thought that goes behind it, and it's really cool, like, it almost builds a sense of, I don't know, quality that sometimes you don't even realize, like, "Oh, that was a really good episode, I wonder why?" A lot of it might be cinematography, so
Yeah.
it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I even noticed that wreck shot in our reaction. I pointed out right away. I was like, "Look at that shot. That looks cool."
Yeah,
So you don't even have to really see it as a story device. It can just be something that visually, intrigues you and just keeps
exactly.
you watching.
Yep.
Um, so yeah. Anything else you got here before we get on to our predictions?
I was gonna yeah, let's hop right into
You
predictions
sure
because
you
that
got
was my
nothing
next thing.
else? All right, all right.
Yeah.
What are you thinking is we're gonna see next?
I mean, I've been saying it, I think, for the last 3 episodes, but Empire, Empire,
Yup, 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 yup,
Empire.
yup, yup, yup.
1, I said it before because I need it. I need Crosshair back. And 2, because we had that call, the Scrapper Guild says,
Yeah.
"Call," they literally said, "Call the Empire." I think, um, it'll kinda be it won't happen on Bracca, they'll get away, they'll either get back to Ord Mantell or in space or something, but the main action I think there will be a main action set piece, maybe it's a starship battle or maybe it's just on the ground, but I don't think it'll be happening in Bracca, I think we're done there, we're gonna move on, um
Okay.
and I think it's gonna be Crosshair and his elite squad. Not even I think, I need it to
It
be
better be.
Crosshair and his elite squad. Um, and because I want them to replicate kind of how powerful, how skillful they were in episode 2 when they just wiped out that Saul Guerrera's forces. But I don't know how they could do that because obviously he's not gonna come kill Hunter, kill Echo, kill everyone there. Like that's not
Everyone
gonna
dies.
happen. Um, so like I want there to be stakes, even though I know some of the main characters kind of have the plot armor.
Okay.
So I think that might be an interesting like hurdle to tackle. I don't really know. I guess I don't have a prediction for that part, but I guess I hope we do have some stakes. And I'm telling you, if there's no crosshair, I might riot. I feel like I've been saying that for too long.
Okay.
But how about
Alright.
you? I digress.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm partly the same as you, but I have, on the contrary, for some
Ooh,
details,
let me hear
I
it.
think they're going to still be on Bracca, because the Bad Batch has no clue that they were discovered. I think Crosshair and his group will be dispatched immediately. And I think they'll at least when they first show up, it'll be on Bracca. They'll have a sort of
Okay.
showdown on Bracca. That could be an
Okay.
interesting, you know, set piece or location for a fight in front of all these old Venators. You could be, some are sideways, so you could have like battles inside hallways sliding in,
Mhm.
and then you fall out of it, and you're back outside. Just cool battle possibilities. But I think that's where they're gonna meet up again. Um, because, we've only been there for 1 episode. We've been to Ord Mantell for, like, the last 4. So I think keeping them here would be pretty cool. And it would also be really cool because the Bad Batch have no clue what's happening. They just went through this stuff with the chips
Yeah.
on Bracca, and then they look out and they see just the shuttle coming and lands, and then they see the door open and the gas from all the pistons, and Crosshair
Oh.
just walks out. Um, so yeah. In terms of the stakes, you were talking about, I agree that they probably can't just kill the entire team
Yeah.
and then that's
Yeah.
it. So there's a little bit of plot armor there, but I think the Kaminoans are going to either in secret or in collaboration with the Empire send an agent or just someone in general who will
Fennec?
go in and kidnap Omega. I think Omega is
Ah.
going to get kidnapped and
Oh.
taken off Bracca by the Kaminoans.
Wow.
Um, that's a well, I mean, I haven't thought it through. Like, how would they, as would the Empire even allow that? How would they get on this ship? How would they get back to Camino? But they could send a shuttle to tail them in secret, like a small ship with like a one-man ship. Somebody comes up while they're battling. The hunter's like dueling it out with like a trooper, looks to the side, down a cliff, and like Omega's just being snagged
Being
and dragged away.
smuggled,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the episode ends with them taking off with Omega and they're left there on Bracca without her. Boom. Cut to black.
That's heavy.
That's
Wow.
my prediction.
I have a question for you. If the Empire comes right away, if Crosshair pulls up, do you think Rex might stay around? Do you think we'll see a little bit of him?
I think enough time will have passed where Rex is
He's
already
already
left.
gone?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I mean, it would probably take a little bit of time for
Yeah.
the Empire to get the alert and then get it to Tarkin and then get it to the squad and then them to gear up, get on the ship, fly off Camino, go into hyperspace, come out at Braca, and land. I think by that point, all Rex has to do is hop in his Y-wing and just take off, and he's gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
No, yeah, I agree.
and I don't think they would use Rex again for another big battle, sort of episode.
So soon, yeah.
Yeah, but
Dang,
that's
I
my prediction.
kinda do
Little
like the prediction.
little
I do
bold,
yeah,
but
I do still think they'll be off-world. Part of me wants to see a starship fight. I do like the dogfights in Star Wars.
oh, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I would love to see a nice, like, high quality, like, in-depth one. I don't know if we'll get it because 'cause they're not really, like their things aren't like, they're not pilots. Like, that's kinda you think pilots, you think
Yeah,
Anakin, Luke Skywalker. So maybe not. Maybe I'm hopeful, but I guess we'll see. I think I mean, as much as I wanna see mine happen, I think I'd be perfectly fine seeing a brawl in Bracca. Like,
yeah,
you described a pretty epic fight, if I do
and then
say
that
so
raises
myself.
the stakes, then they gotta go back to Camino, the one place they've been trying to avoid this entire time, go in, try to
Ooh.
rescue, I
Dang,
don't know, I'm
that's
just
yeah.
spitballing here.
Yeah,
Um,
alright, dude. Well, I mean, you've
you
been
know
on so far. If you're on again, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
ugh.
know, but, something's gotta happen to Omega, I feel like. We're getting all
Yeah.
this growth and development connections, especially after this big thing, they're probably closer than they've ever been, and then for her to just be
Mhm.
taken away like that. And that would be our perfect reintroduction into the Kaminoan subplot where they're trying to
Mm.
get back in the fold of the Empire as part of the
Yeah,
Empire's empire.
yeah.
Um,
I agree. I think now is the perfect time to just stakes through the roof, like something
yeah,
big. I think it's the perfect
yeah.
time to do it.
So if that does happen and I'm watching and then I get all happy and excited, you'll know why.
Yeah. Oh, Megan's
Yes,
getting
yes,
kidnapped? Yes!
yes.
Yes!
Woo! Oh,
Oh, man.
man. But yeah, that's my
But
bold
yeah.
prediction. I doubt it'll happen. The only part I think will happen is they'll start at least on Bracca and then maybe
Yeah.
go into air. The problem with this, not air, space. The problem with
Peace.
the
Yeah.
space battle, like you were saying, they're not pilots. And usually a space battle ends with either the loser of the battle dies because their ship explodes, or B that you have a
True.
crash landing somewhere. So
Yeah. I could
you
that's what I was saying, crash land
yeah
on a new planet or something, I don't
yeah.
know. I haven't really thought it
And
through,
and
but
then, the Bad Batch crashes, their shuttle's damaged, and then it's just a manhunt on this planet.
yeah, that would be
Uh,
cool too.
but at the same time, them hiding out is something we've seen already. So having it where they're
Mm,
just, fighting each other out in the
yeah.
open would be a little bit of a change. So we'll see. Definitely a lot to
Yep.
be excited about though for next episode.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now moving on here, last little bit. Just gonna talk about what we think about this episode. This one, again, we're not like ranking or giving ratings, as we're kind of just as jokes. But I think I like this one. I still don't know if I like it more than the pilot. Uh, it might eventually when we rewatch the whole series, it might jump ahead of the pilot for me. But as of right now, I think the pilot is still my number one, just because of how much they were able to fit and do in that episode. Um, Definitely the pilot, this episode, and episode 6 are probably
Yeah,
my top three as of right now.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, what do you think about this one?
I'm in the same boat with that top 3. I do wanna say, though, I think the pilot for sure is gonna be my number 1, up until now. The finale, hopefully, like, will beat it out of the water. But just because of how much main storyline was in the pilot. I know it's longer, and I don't wanna be unfair, like, "Oh, it's longer, I like it better," type of thing. But, like, we had the Empire, we had the Kaminoans, we had the Bad Batch, we had Order 66, we had so much in the first episode. Maybe yes, because it's longer. But this, I know we had the Order 66, the chips got out, but still we're waiting for the Empire still. We're waiting for the Kaminoan still. No Fennec or anything like that. So it's missing that little bit to push it ahead of the
Yeah,
first episode for me. So for
yeah.
for that reason, I think number one is still for me. But this one and the last one, I really like, really enjoyed them. Um, I'd say this one is above episode 6 because of how they handled Rex versus how they handled Race and Trafa or Trace and Rafa. Wow.
Yeah, keep
Cut
going.
that, cut that. um, um, that destroyed my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh,
How they
okay. But yeah,
handled, yeah.
Rex, I think they handled way better than Trace and Rafa. Um, so yeah, I think this is above episode 6 for me, which is a good thing. I like how they're getting better.
Yeah. No, definitely. We're also like kind of at the middle of the series. I feel like in shows, the middle is usually, where some of a lot of,
Picking
actions
up. Yep.
happening. A lot of shows have mid-season finales where they take a break. I don't think Bad Batch is doing that, but just like as a comparison, a lot of shows, they'll take a break midway or like a third-ish through the season, and then they come back a couple weeks later and finish it off. But I feel like we're in like in the midst of a big portion of action or build-up.
Yeah.
When I say action, I don't mean like physical fighting action. I mean like in terms of s- things that are part of the main plot. Less we're in
Yep.
the kind of the last two episodes have been a lot less filler. Um, the Trace and Ralph one arguably kind of was, but this episode I feel like was really really on with sort of the main plot being one of the plots, anyways,
Yeah.
being Wrecker's Chip and Order 66. Um, so yeah, that's everything we got here. Let us know your thoughts on this episode in the comments. Check out a reaction for this episode if you would like to do that. We have playlists for both of those series. Yeah, we're excited for next episode, especially after our predictions. We want to see who's right. I feel like
Yeah.
we're probably going to be both wrong, which is uh,
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
The
but
Empire doesn't come.
you know, yeah, it just ends. They all die.
Yeah.
But we will see what happens. Thank you for what my dog, sorry, again. Yeah. But thanks for
Yeah.
watching and or listening, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
What do you think Mantel
Goodbye.
mix tastes like?
Oh my god, probably like uh Cracker Jacks.
Yeah, I saw candy. I was thinking
Cracker Jacks.
like chicken nuggets
Like caramel popcorn,
or trail mix. I
Yeah.
want some
Yeah.
is what I'm getting at. That's what
Yeah.